All right. I hope you can hear me. So we're moving on. Today we are trying to activate Unit 11 Intermediate course, which is called Tell Me About It. Hope you remember the grammar. Now let's deal with vocabulary a bit. So there are two words, to wander and to wander. I hope you understand the difference. So what's the synonym of wander? It's to roam. And if you want to ask about something that you're interested in, you say, I wonder. For example, I wonder where he goes every day. No idea. I wonder how old you are. I wonder if they will come. But to wander from the subject. Do you like to wander from the subject if you don't want to talk about it? All right. Do you like to wander or to roam the streets at night? Let's move on working. Do you like to drop by a souvenir store somewhere abroad or in some other city? Are you a souvenir hunter? Have you ever forged any signature, somebody's signature? When? Why? What's your attitude to forging documents, seals, this kind of fraud? Do you know any commercial artists? What's your attitude to them? Okay. Let's move on working. Did dinosaurs lay eggs? If you play any musical instruments, do you like to play scales? Is it hard? What does it give to you? Why is it important? What's the measure of time? What's the measure of weight in the United States and in Ukraine? Do you agree that wealth is not a measure of happiness? Do you like to take radical, preventive, or compulsory measures? Which measures are more appropriate to you and why? Okay, one sec, here we have some technical difficulties. All right. Now everything seems okay. We can move on. What does NASA stand for? All right. What's the synonym of harbor? Do you try to be diverse, various in life? In what spheres? What do you call a breathtaking beauty? And what do you call breathtaking stupidity? Could you give some examples? Do you like some vases at home? Do you have many? Have you ever had to replace the broken window? Do you like to substitute somebody at work? Do you know why Jesus Christ was crucified? Have you ever seen rainforests? Now we're coming closer to the topic of trees. This unit we try to name, to study many names of the trees. So what's your favorite? Is it a pine tree, poplar, oak tree, or just oak, birch, ash tree, lime tree, apple tree, cherry tree, maybe acacia, which I hate. So what's your favorite? Try to repeat all those names and try to remember the spelling and have some image. So, because they're all different. How did dinosaurs become extinct? Not the question of dinosaurs. To be jealous of somebody, something. The question is, have you ever been jealous of anybody? Why? What did it lead you to? What's your attitude to some blind or groundless jealousy? Did it ever take place in your life? So, any examples of petty jealousy? Have you ever felt guilty of anything? Of what? Is it important for you to establish somebody's guilt if you're sure the person is guilty? Or you can just swallow it and forget, for the sake of that person, first of all. Do you agree that animals have a full range of emotions, like many pet owners state? How often do you observe other people outside in the street? Do you like this kind of observation? Why? Okay, hope everything's fine with recording. We can move on, I hope. Okay. Can you read somebody's hidden things, some emotions that people do not usually display, using facial expressions and body language? So can you somehow scan it? Do you like to deduce something from something, to use deduction methods like Sherlock Holmes? Is it helpful or just kind of a necessary thing that people overrated? What is the most, let's say, what's the basic primary emotion with people, animals, in your opinion? What does circumference stand for? Can you use this word somewhere? What kind of landscape do you prefer? Flat or mountainous? Can you spell mountainous? Have you ever seen a violent earthquake? On TV, of course, I guess. Do you prefer movies, some documentaries, or maybe modern shows about violent passions displayed, revealed on TV, when people sit down in the studio and try to display something, some hidden secrets in the families, and then violent passions could occur? Are you interested in that kind of broadcast? Okay, we're moving on. Have you ever taken part in some violent controversy? What do you call a controversial question? Do you like them? We read about some natural disasters, so maybe you remember. What was the earthquake in Ecuador equivalent of? Do you like some documentaries about meteors? Did you used to label other people, maybe some classmates, friends, when you were younger? Do you prefer to create or to explode some myths? Why? Can you continue a very interesting proverb? Of two evils, choose what? Of two evils, choose. Do you agree with that? Can you give some life examples? When somebody tells you something, do you believe them? Let's say your relative. Or do you need some evidence all the time? If you're a woman, so tell me, some rhetorical question, is it hard to give birth to a child? If you're a man, how do you think then? Is childbearing important for any country, and why? What's important for a baby in infancy, in your opinion? Can you somehow justify an infantile behavior? What's your attitude to beards and mustache? Remember a person called Uncle Sam? So was he a real person, and why he was affectionately known as Uncle Sam? Is it important for you to win your chief's affection, if you have one? So do you like to refer to official sources when you investigate something? Or you can refer to some internet, not very well tested sources. Have you ever faced with faulty goods? I mean, have you ever dealt, rather, would be better to say, have you ever dealt with faulty goods? And so did you take them back to the store, or did you just throw them away, or maybe used somewhere, some other sphere? Okay. Now we come into animal idioms, which are very great and very useful, but you should be careful with them knowing the meaning definition exactly. Do you often smell a rat? If you see some suspicious behavior, do you try to find some evidence that this is true, or you don't care because you're kind of person who doesn't trust? Are you a night owl or a lark in your life? Have you ever behaved like a bull in a china store? Could you give some more details? Are you usually dog-tired? Are you sometimes a chicken? Can you talk until the cows come home with your colleagues' friends? Have you ever seen people who behaved like a wolf in a sheep's clothing? And so can you again justify this kind of behavior sometimes for the sake of business or some profit? Is it okay? Can you say that everything that happens to you, it's like water off a duck's back? I mean, some evil things and bad things. Can you be as quiet as a mouse if you wish to? Can you sometimes be as blind as a bat because you're just forgetful, or that the problem is that you're absent-minded because you're exhausted? Are you usually as busy as a bee? Can you be as hungry as a wolf? When? Why? Have you ever been as proud as a peacock? Do you have to deal with people who are as slippery as an eel? What's the synonym of awkward? Awkward. And can you spell this word? All right, everything seems okay here with the recording. We're moving on. Do you like different rides in theme parks? Like roller coaster? What's your favorite ride? How often do you visit parks like that? Have you ever been to Walt Disney Park? Okay. How often do you roar? Or can you groan if you feel some pain, if you're in pain? Do you often whistle a tune if you're happy? What kind of tune? How loud is that? Does it bother other people? Have any of your doors ever banged shut because of some gust of wind? What did you do then? Do you snore? Do you like people who have lots of rats in the attic? Do you have any? What's the opposite of an attic? Do you like to stare into the distance sometimes? Have you ever pointed a gun at other people? Maybe toy gun? Can you hold your breath for 2 minutes? What's the best way to stop hiccups, in your personal opinion? If you don't like some habit, can you easily drop it? Or it's a real problem for you? Have you ever kicked any habits in your life? Do you usually think twice before doing something important? Or you can act spontaneously, intuitively, faster? Can you just kiss some money goodbye out of the blue without, let's say, spontaneously? What does it mean to hit the roof? Can you give some example? Remember the example about parents. Do you usually like to drop a line to your old friends, old classmates, group mates? Using some social network, I guess. Are you sometimes forgetful? Remember the story of forgetfulness that we listened to. So what's the difference between forgetful and absent-minded? Forgetfulness and absent-mindedness. Do you like to blame people for something? Do you usually do that? Has anyone ever blamed you for doing something wrong? Do you agree that you overload your memory too much studying English words? Is it bad for your health? Have you ever suffered from loss of memory? Because you study too much or because you have to remember a lot of things? Do you happen to have fluffy slippers? Okay, what's the synonym to cope with something? And how do we use prepositions here? So remember, I can cope with this task and I can handle this. I can handle this task. I can handle this kind of work. Use more examples, please. It's good for business English. Okay, what's the synonym of insane? Have you ever been a kind of presenter of some contest, competition, show, anything, any event? All right, we've covered the main material of Unit 11. What is left is some linking vocabulary for making presentations or some talks. And surely you should remember them, like advantages and disadvantages, pros and cons. One advantage is that on the plus side, for instance, besides, moreover, on top of that, all in all things considered. On the other hand, another point is that, finally, last of all, in fact, to sum up, in my opinion, I suppose, and so on. So these things should always be in your head when you talk, when you have some word somewhere, and you should remember the structure of any presentation, presenting any topic. So first it should be introduction, just 1 or 2 sentences, a couple of sentences about pluses and minuses and your own opinion. And these words, this vocabulary will be very helpful in doing that. And the final thing is social English, and Unit 11 deals with informal English, so-called slang words, colloquial English that is very, very useful in everyday practices. So try to react to some of my sentences. These shoes cost $90. You should say, no way, right? So emotional language. What do you say we take a break for lunch? What are you up to? Quick, give me your homework so I can copy it. No time. Did you fix the TV? What's on tonight? Have any idea? What do you call that stuff that you use to clean between your teeth? All right. Surely there are very, very, very many interesting expressions that you can remember, that you can copy from watching movies and talking to native speakers. So you should have a little vocabulary of that too. Well, that's it for today. I appreciate your attention and work. We're coming to the end of the course. So it's high time you started revision. Good luck to you. Bye-bye.